Buckle up, because the NBA just got a new king. Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs defied all expectations, absolutely shutting down the Oklahoma City Thunder in a thrilling Game 7 to punch their ticket to the NBA Finals. Well, we're talking about a team nobody saw coming, led by a phenom who just put the entire league on notice. But while Wemby ascended, another young star crumbled under the pressure. Get ready for a deep dive into the moments that redefined legacies and left one team wondering where it all went wrong, especially for their highly touted big man. This isn't just a win, it's a statement.
We're excited. This team, we thought this team was maybe 2 years away, but to go to the finals this year, again, sure, was I picking the Spurs because I love the Spurs in 7? But at the end of the day, I saw something with this Oklahoma City team. I especially with Jay Williams injured, AJ Mitchell out, the Spurs bench got a lot of confidence as this series wore on. Keldon Johnson, Dylan Harper was amazing. Luke Cornett maybe had outside of the Sean Elliott Memorial Day miracle, Luke Cornett probably had the biggest block of the Spurs in this entire series. So again, we can keep going on and on. I'm so proud of this team. Oh my God, I can't contain myself right now.
John, we're gonna let Coach collect here for a second. It was such an interesting back and forth in this one, and I almost felt like it was role reversal from what I expected. The poise of San Antonio seemed to lead the dance throughout this one. How do you parse this 48 minutes?
Yeah, the role reversal is exactly right, because you look at the turnover battle again. Early in the series, Oklahoma City was turning over the Spurs and converting that into points. Well, over the last few games, the Spurs have really gotten that under control, including tonight when they won the turnover battle again. Early in the game, Oklahoma City was mounting its comeback by getting on the offensive boards and getting those second chance points. By the time the game ended, it's the Spurs who had the offensive rebound edge and the second chance points edge. And you mentioned how it was a total team effort for the Spurs. It very much was. Wemby was good tonight, got in foul trouble, but De'Aaron Fox had a better game. Stephon Castle, the turnovers aren't great, but he was good. Champagnie was fantastic. Devin Vassell gets into double figures. You mentioned Dylan Harper. Keldon Johnson started out slow, but he gave them some energy. And then you contrast that with Oklahoma City. SGA showed up. He had a terrible game 6. He had a fantastic game 7, and none of the other starters, aside from Cason Wallace, who he started slow, really helped him out at all. Up to, including, and especially that we need to flag, Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren, where were you in this series, and especially in Game 7, where you make third-team All-NBA and first-team All-Defense, and you take 2 shots in a critical Game 7 at home as the defending champs in 33 minutes, and they put your butt on the bench at the end of the game? That is a disservice to Oklahoma City, to SGA, to the Thunder writ large. I mean, he's going to have a long summer to think about it, but credit to the Spurs. Congratulations to them and to Avery, because as Avery said, they are way ahead of the curve here. Nobody had the Spurs going to the finals this year. It's remarkable what they've done.
John, I'm glad you bring up Chet Holmgren, because it takes me to Victor Wembanyama. Some of this feels personal, whether it's the history between those two bigs or the now growing history between the standard bearer here and Victor Wembanyama and that of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, whether he felt the MVP should have been his. This felt personal, this series, for Wemby, Coach. You've gotten to know the individual a little bit. The competitive spirit that you saw come out over these 7 games, it's really building towards this being the guy that we say, league's in your hands. What did this moment mean for that point?
Victor spent time with Hakeem Olajuwon. Of course, he's been spending every day with Coach Popovich and Tim Duncan. He spent time with Kevin Garnett. He went on this month sabbatical. This kid, when he talked about in so many words that this is personal, and when he's going to win his individual matchup against a Chet Holmgren, I love it. That's what we need. This kid is good for the game. He's great for the global game of basketball. He's a global ambassador. The Spurs won this game tonight because they were only -3 from the free throw line in attempts, guys. Just remember that stat. I agree with John. They were getting beat up on the offensive glass, in the first part of this game, but they were only a -3 at the free throw line. They kept it close. They allowed Shea to be Shea. They did a decent job on the others. They annihilated and eliminated Chet Holmgren from this series. You know who's the big winner in this situation? The guy in Milwaukee, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm not going to start any rumors, but he's the big winner tonight because somebody's going to be on the phone calling him from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma on tomorrow.
Yeah, when you see 7'6" with a burner doing what he's doing at this age, you start saying, we need to add something significant. I see your point there, Coach. Victor Wembanyama becomes the 5th player ever to average 25-plus points in the regular season and reach an NBA Finals at age 22 or younger. The names? Barry, O'Neal, Bryant, and James. Rarefied air here, John, that Victor Wembanyama puts himself into, as we said, maybe a year or two before we expected it. What does this moment mean in the way that we begin to tell this very young story?
Yeah, it's massive, right? I mean, it's the legend of Victor Wembanyama, and he is so far ahead of schedule. I just keep marveling about this. Like, coming into this season, I don't think many people in San Antonio, if they were being honest, would say, oh, yeah, the Spurs are going to the NBA Finals. And outside of San Antonio, nobody was. They were a fashionable pick to make the play-in, maybe make the playoffs proper, start the learning process. They're well past the learning process. They're teaching lessons to the former defending champs. Oklahoma City is going home now. In pregame, we talked about this, about what it would mean for Victor Wembanyama versus SGA's legacy. And SGA, the two-time MVP, the former reigning finals MVP, but he's 6 years older than Victor Wembanyama. And we were talking about how if the Thunder lose this game tonight, which they have, that going into next season, it's not going to be SGA who's the favorite to win the MVP. It's going to be Victor Wembanyama. And it's not going to be Oklahoma City that's going to be the favorite, barring Avery's decide to move Giannis and some pieces around the board. But it's not going to be Oklahoma City that go in as the favorites next year. It's going to be the Spurs, and it's probably going to be the Spurs for a while. And we're looking at Victor Wembanyama, who was already the first ever unanimous Defensive Player of the Year in NBA history and was a top 3 MVP finalist. At this age, it's remarkable.
It truly is.
John, I got Ashley Nicole Moss, our colleague at CBS Sports HQ, texting me. She's having a little fun with me right now. I'm not going to reveal what she's texting me, but I will see her in San Antonio for Game 1 on Wednesday night. Okay?
I thought it was going to be, and Coach, I need those tickets. That's how I would have at least ended that back and forth.
No backstage passes for Ashley. No backstage. No backstage.
It will be head-to-head inside of our CBS Sports NBA family, that is for certain. Coach, this has been anything but a straightforward 18 months to 2 years in this San Antonio building. A lot going on, whether it's from Coach Pop and the job that Mitch Johnson did in an interim role and now here in his first year full-time as a head coach. This Spurs team hadn't been in the playoffs in 6 seasons, and here they are making it all the way to the NBA Finals. That's only been done 4 times before, to miss 6 consecutive or more and then make it all the way to the Finals. What does it say about the job the head coach has done to this point?
Mitch Johnson is incredible. I've spent some time with he and his staff in Austin when they play those 2 games in Austin because Michael Dell owns a part of the team with his private equity real estate, with his private equity group. And I spent some time with Mitch. I've known Mitch for a long time. He paid his dues. Same as my guy, Sean Sweeney, who I discovered and poached out of the college ranks. And now he's the head coach of Orlando, and he's Mitch Johnson's associate head coach. So I'm proud of this entire staff, the fan base. But you know who else I'm proud of? I'm proud of Coach Greg Popovich. A couple of years ago, this team knew they weren't very good. They did whatever they needed to do. They got Victor Wembanyama, Stephon Castle, they drafted at a good spot, Dylan Harper. If the new whatever tanking rules were in place right now, they might not